It's Raiders Minicamp out in Las Vegas. This is Silver and Black today. We're here to talk about it. What are we hearing? What are you hearing? What surprises are in store? Who's turning heads? Yes, again, we're going to discuss that. And we'll get to a couple of your calls as well. Plus, it's Father's Day coming up this week. We got a special guest, Josh Camite from Raider Dad, is going to be on here on this edition of Silver and Black today, an Odyssey Sports original podcast. Don't forget, subscribe wherever you get your audio. Make sure you rate and review. Also, if you're watching us, make sure you subscribe there. Give us that thumbs up and also hit that notifications bell. I am Scott Branton, and joining me, the first time ever, I think, ever on the show wearing a Raiders hat, it's Mr. Objectivity. It's Mr. Mo Moten. He's a senior NFL writer over at Bleacher Report. You can follow him on x.com if you dare. At Mo Moten, Moemoton. I am at LV Gully, and the show is SNB Today. All right, Mo, I don't think in the history of the show, because, some people have this, complex, if we don't wear Raider gear, because there's a lot of great fan shows. Our good friends, of course, we always are very partial to our good friends, Murph, oh my gosh, Raiders Fan Radio. Hello, senior moment. And of course, they're all Raider geared up. So when people come out, oh, how come you're not wearing it? And we always kind of, we do it occasionally, that stuff. We're not a fan show. But today we're both wearing it. Of course, I'm wearing my new Silver and Black Today t-shirt as well. So, we're just all branded Silver and Black all over the place.
I wear the Midtown Mo hoodie every show, and that's basically the Raiders logo. So I don't know. It's Raider gear in a sense, but
right.
Yeah, wearing the Raiders lid today, but still objective. Still doing my job as an objective writer of sports.
That is correct. And I'm so glad to hear that you're staying objective, because, most people, we don't like to point out, we like constructive criticism, but Mo continues, unfortunately, to talk about fake news, to talk about things that should not be talked about, like ketchup on hot dogs, right? So you tweet at me, some poor lost soul who I sent the crisis hotline number to her, because she said she's trying ketchup on a hot dog. And I said, look, if you're under 13, it's acceptable. If you're over, it's like your baseball cap. You see guys wearing baseball caps backwards. No, you're a grown man. You don't do that. It's an old George Carlin bit, by the way. But same with hot dogs. So anyway, but those are food takes you'll get from Mo up on x.com. Mo, I want to get your takes. Look, minicamp underway, started on Tuesday out in Henderson at the Raiders facility. The biggest point of news that I'll get to first here is Kolton Miller was there. Now, Kolton Miller, I didn't expect him to be there because he doesn't have a guaranteed contract. He said early on, right around draft time, that he wanted a new contract and that there was hopefully going to be some discussions there. But this guy goes out in good faith, putting his longevity, his ability to make a living on a line, going out to camp. Now, I know, listen, it's just camp. They're in shorts and shirts and some helmets. But that is a big thing. Kolton Miller's basically, I think, made the right PR move here, which is like, hey, Raiders, I'm here. And of course, he said the patented, I want to be a Raider for life, in talking with the media yesterday. I believe him. I'm not saying he doesn't mean it, but of course, you're going to say that. And I think that it puts the pressure somewhat on the Raiders, because he's like, dude, I'm showing up to work. I want to be here. So if the Raiders aren't moving on conversations with Kolton Miller, then, fans can jump into the conclusion that, well, geez, what's up with the Raiders? Here's the guy, he shows up, blah, blah. What's your take on this so far? And I think some people are sleeping on Kolton Miller. Oh, we drafted 2 guards, we don't need him. No, I think Kolton Miller is the anchor of that line, and you want to get him under contract, get him that final contract. He's 30 years old, and see where it goes. What's your view on that, and what did you think about him showing up?
Well, first of all, Caleb Rogers is competing for the spot at guard. So the other option at left tackle is Charles Grant.
Yep,
I get it. Has the physique, has the physical tools to play the position, but is he ready to make that jump from William & Mary to the NFL? It would be a lot to ask. Just saying, they're not getting rid of Kolton Miller, and I think Kolton Miller understands his importance to the team, and that's why he's showing up to OTAs. Because in my mind, I'm thinking Kolton Miller believes he's going to get paid by the Raiders. There's no way that the Raiders just kind of leave him, I don't want to say hanging out to dry, because he does have one more year left on his contract, but it's non-guaranteed.
Mhm.
If the Raiders are serious about being competitive and protecting Geno Smith, they're going to pay Kolton Miller, and he's going to be probably one of the top 8 paid left tackles in the league once he gets his new contract. Because I fully expect him to either be next in line or simply get his contract before week 1. So he's setting a good example for the locker room as someone who's a long tenured Raider, been there since 2018 when they drafted him in the first round, is saying, hey, even if you have a contract situation, show up to work. And if you deserve it, you'll get your money. And the same goes for Jakobi Meyers. Jakobi Meyers said he's open for an extension. He was asked about the extension. He said he won't talk about it. He'll leave that between himself and the organization. Both guys showing up for work at voluntary OTAs and mandatory mini camp starting yesterday, Tuesday.
Yeah, and new quarterback, new system, new head coach, and Pete Carroll. You see him running around like a madman. He's too old. Yeah, okay. Half of you guys out there don't have the energy Pete Carroll has, but he's out there, and I think Kolton Miller, being that now wily veteran, the leader of that group, being there is such a huge deal, and it's great for him too, because you got to learn your quarterback, you got to learn the offense, and to me, with the pieces they have there, this really is a good sign all the way around for everybody. So I was glad to see that come out of camp yesterday, see him there. Now the other thing was, again, Dante Thornton continues to turn heads, and a lot of people, and we talk about it here too, we sometimes put the damper down on expectations. Well, he's doing great in minicamp. Because most of the time, some of those guys are going against second, third defenses. This is not the case with Thornton. He's been in there a lot with the first offense, which tells you already that they like what they see, and that if the Raiders are that excited about it, you hear all the other players too, offense and defense, talking about the impression that Thornton has made there. Talk about what it would mean if they can roll in the camp and this kid. Now, of course, you got to get on the field in live action and do it. But if this kid, Mo, can come out and be an impact player right away for the Raiders at that position, with Geno Smith there, with Jakobi Meyers, with Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, you name it, and Ashton Gentry, of course, what would that mean to this offense if they really click with this kid?
They would have a pretty good rotation at wide receiver, though it's still a young rotation, Jack Best included. This is a rookie second rounder, but if they can get Dante Thornton going right away, it also means they can open up the playbook and the field for the deep passing games. Smith still has a pretty good arm at 34 years old, and he can sling the deep ball. And not to say that Brock Bowers and Jakobi Meyers can't do that and go downfield and get those 20-yard gains, but Dante Thornton is the guy you want to get the ball to in those situations, because he's, as Ron says, 6'5", runs a 4.3. So this is the type of guy that has the potential that's, you say, what's the ceiling for him? A lot of people compared him to DK Metcalf, and I'm sure those comparisons will pop back up after all the buzz out of OTAs and mandatory minicamp. But I go to Levi Edwards, who had a post on Tuesday, and he said Dante Thornton has been one of, if not the most impressive rookie at Raiders rating camp. So give him the offseason MVP. But there's one thing I will say, Scott, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit, because I'm old enough to remember when Brian Edwards was supposed to be the next coming of Randy Moss / T.O., right?
I remember.
Brian Edwards was dominating OTAs and mandatory minicamp, and what happened? So I'm just saying I'm excited for Dante Thornton. It's good to hear these things, but we've heard these things before about another rookie wide receiver who didn't pan out. So let's see what Dante Thornton does and if he can continue it at training camp.
Yes, and we continue to hear, of course, Ashton Gentry, impressive, of course. If you watched him in college, he was impressive. But a lot of comparisons to LaDainian Tomlinson, sort of his game, and also Maurice Jones-Drew, kind of similar body styles and so on. But you continue to hear from the folks that we know there that are covering minicamp on the ground that they're using him, continue to use him a lot in the passing game. And this is something we talked about leading up to the draft. And I really think, we talked about last show, these people still kind of have a negative view for some reason of Chip Kelly. Boy, I think Mo, that this team, and we talked about 7-8 wins for this team, and I'm still sticking to that for now. But man, if this offense can click like it has the feel, I mean, I just the momentum, and again, right? There's no, like you said, no offseason MVPs, no offseason coaches of the year, but you like the energy, and the energy doesn't always transpire to wins. But if you're headed in the right direction, you're building the right culture, you're building the right system, and the fact that Gentry's coming in and doing that, that you're hearing good things about him. Obviously, we talked about Thornton as well. You have Miller there. To me, this is the first time, I think, in years that you feel like the Raiders offense is going somewhere. How far it goes, how fast it goes, we don't know yet. But you get that sense too. I just think there's still question marks, don't get me wrong. But it just feels like, okay, there's at least there's people there who have some sort of plan and they're carrying it out and they have the tools to do it.
It's the Chip Kelly effect. This is why you bring in Chip Kelly as an upgrade, a massive upgrade over Lou Getsy / Scott Turner. The Raiders actually have an offensive coordinator who not only has NFL experience leading top 10 scoring offenses, but also has done it on the collegiate level. So for the young guys coming in, Dante, Thornton, Jack Besh, Ashton, Gentry, you should be able to work well with those guys because he's worked with the college talent for quite some time at UCLA and Ohio State. So that transition or that bounce back from the NFL to the college ranks, I think is going to help Chip Kelly be able to get these young players on the Raiders offense going right away. And that's what you want to hear. And that's what you want to see out of this offense because you want them to have a good start to the season. As I said last week, they have a lot of winnable games in the first half of the season. They can take advantage of a lot of these football teams that they're going to play. The Colts, I believe, in the first half of the season. Tennessee Titans, they get in the first half of the season. Those are games that the Raiders could win and go into their bye week with a winning record.
Yeah, and one of the concerning notes, we'll end on this in this segment, and then we're going to bring on Josh Camite from Raider Dad to talk about amazing work he's doing out in Las Vegas, is Jakorian Bennett. Some issues there. Of course, he had the shoulder injury, and he's kind of working his way back. It's tough to work your way back from that injury, especially playing the game of football. But he also let out the cat out of the bag that he's been dealing with that shoulder for a long time, for his entire NFL career, his short NFL career. I'm concerned now because you wanted to see the question mark around Bennett coming back was there, and the Raiders obviously still have to find answers at cornerback long term. It's not bad news, but definitely something to keep an eye on because that's the type of injury, Mo, for a guy in that position. Sometimes they just don't come back.
Right. He said he's been dealing with shoulder issues since college. So this is a new thing for him. So you wonder, I hate to throw the injury prone label on him, but
Yeah.
you wonder if that's going to be something he's going to deal with for his entire career. So it is good that the Raiders have some young talent behind him. He's young himself, but you also got Jakorian Richardson, who's there going into his second year. You have now Darian Porter, who's been getting first team reps. Eric Stokes is a veteran, but you just wonder if the Cameron Richardson and or Darian Porter can get a starting job, and if Jakorian Bennett is able to regain his starting position. Because again, while I do think Jakorian Bennett will start, it is not a guarantee that he will coming back from that shoulder injury. He's been running with the second team, according to reports coming out of OTAs and mandatory minicamp. New eyes and Pete Carroll coming in. They're judging this with a blank slate. And I say, well, Jakorian Bennett was a good starter for 10 games last year. He's definitely pinned in as a starter. That's not happening. They're going to start the best three guys at the cornerback position or the best two guys plus a safety in the nickelback formation. So Jakorian Bennett has to re-earn his spot. And if he doesn't do that, you could be looking at Eric Stokes and or Darian Porter, the Cameron Richardson combination at the cornerback position.
Yeah, and that's a concern. We'll have to see. I mean, that's going to be the thing when we get to big boy camp. We'll have to do that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Josh Camite from Raider Dad is going to join us. He's going to talk about the great work they do out there and how you can help out because Raider Nation, that's what you do. You help one another. Help a kid get to a Raider game. We'll talk about that coming up after the break. Here with Mo and Scott. This is Silver and Black Today. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to segment number 2 here, Silver and Black Today. Hope you're having a great week. It's about to get better because we're going to tell you about an organization very close to our hearts, and it should be yours as a member of Raider Nation, and that is Vegas Raider Dad. And to do that is Josh Camite, the man who founded this organization, helped kick it off and really is doing such great work. We've had him here on the show. He does a lot of work with the One Nation Foundation, who all of you are familiar with, our work with Murph and the folks over at Raiders Fan Radio. Josh, thanks for coming on, man. And we're going to get into this and talk about it. But boy, it's crazy to see where you were when you started, where you're at now. But I know making sure you can help these kids' dreams come true, get to Raider games, get to see some of these games. It's a tough sled. And tell everybody, though, first, a little bit about exactly what you do. If they've not heard you before or heard about the organization, give them a little background on Vegas Raider Dad.
Yeah, it's great. This is a little trip down memory lane. Last time we were on here was 2022. The mission's grown so much that it was just about getting kids into games. We create experiences that create this opportunity to motivate and inspire kids to reach their full potential. And the great thing about it, while we're doing that, it's this idea of creating fans here in Las Vegas. It's taking game day one step further, not just for adults, but for families, for people that ideally wouldn't have the opportunity to do something like this or have the means to attend a Raiders game. Back in 2022, we were just throwing one event and we realized that there's so many people that we can help with this. Hundreds and hundreds of kids are going to Raiders games now. It's funny looking back, since that time, but it's great to see how many people can support something like this.
So Josh, I know you seem like a modest guy, but I've been checking out the interwebs. I see you on news channels, News 8, talking about your organization, what you do. Could you let us know what's the next biggest event you have planned coming up?
Every year we do the annual preseason event. It's probably one of my favorite events. And so many people, like last year, we've seen so many new people, whether you're a super fan, people just in the community that want to be a part of something like this. There's a lot of people that give out tickets to kids, even companies. But Raider Dad's always been about doing stuff that's a little bit different. It's about creating that moment that can stay with families. And even you guys probably remember your first game. And we start in the tailgate lots. The One Nation Foundation, other people sponsor this opportunity for young fans and their parental figures. But it helps usher these kids and their families inside of Allegiant Stadium while decreasing costs. As you know, every year Raider tickets are probably one of the most expensive tickets, and Las Vegas is an expensive place to visit or even live in, let alone if go into a restaurant, go into a concert or a show. It's no different for sports, so it's a challenge for some families, and Raider Dad, helps make it possible at times for a lot of families.
Yeah, and Josh, that's the one thing too. You look at the prices for the Raider tickets, and you have folks who have at least somewhat the means to do it who complain about the prices. So when you think about a family, and I just lived this the other day, right? And I'm in the position where I do fine, but at the same time, I took my son, I took one son to a baseball game. So it wasn't even a football game, which we know NFL prices are on the very high end. And I mean, you're talking about not only the tickets, which are the biggest cost, but then you go in and I don't know what it is at Allegiant now because I haven't been there for a game in a while, but $9 for a small Coke, right? So the cost associated with this, it's hard for families to do it, especially today where people are spending more money on housing. And we know what's happened there in Las Vegas with the cost of living since 2020. It's just gone up because of housing and everything else. And so when you look at these families and these kids, then these opportunities to have that experience, because you're right. It's not only the kid going to the game, but it's the kid going with their parent or guardian or aunt, uncle, grandparent, whoever it is that looks after them. And you can't put a price on that. Tickets, we understand people have to sell their tickets if they can't go to games, but there's a lot of tickets that just sit there that go unused, correct?
Yeah, we know there's a lot of times that tickets are being unused or companies don't know what to do with tickets if they don't have someone in their company or however they use their ticket. What What's great about Raider Dad, it gives them an option. If you don't have your tickets or you don't have a need for your tickets, you can donate them to our mission. We help a lot of different causes, whether we're talking about getting foster children into games, kids that are battling life-threatening situations, or it's just helping, a family get in there to experience what it's like to be a Raiders fan or be there on game day. That's I feel like that's one of the biggest things. When we last talked, we there was a big concentration in Las Vegas about building Raider Nation, getting the city behind it. And there's just no better way than to create a Raiders fan by sending them to a game. Our tailgate experience, we decrease costs with community partners. If we're helping a less fortunate family or somebody that otherwise wouldn't be able to do it, just by giving them tickets, they're probably not going to be able to afford a $9 bottle of water, or when they're walking around the stadium, they're going to walk by Raider image. And unfortunately, the prices for everything are so high for, based on certain families, but that kid's probably going to want a Raiders jersey. So when they come down to Raider Dad, there's that shirt. It's just creating that ultimate moment that's going to stay with them. And it's not really about them remembering who gave them that opportunity, but years down the road, these same kids are going to be able to, it might not be by giving them tickets to a game, maybe it's in their own way how they're going to inspire and motivate the next generation to do something great. So it's just something really special. And there's a lot of people that, when we're talking about selling tickets or how they use their tickets, if they can't get a certain amount for their tickets, that there's they'll just give them the Raider Dad, because they see on a weekly basis what we're doing, and what it means for these families and the smiles on these kids' faces at times.
So you hear that, Raider Nation? We're trying to build the fan base, home field advantage at Allegiant Stadium. Don't sell your tickets to the traveling, visiting fans. Give them to Raider Dad. Want to quickly pull on the heartstrings of our audience really quick. And I think I asked you this, I requested this when we first spoke 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. But could you just give your most heartwarming story of your experience in doing this over the past 3-4 years, and just not necessarily the best story, but what is one experience that really touched you in a sense, where a kid just and his family just got a chance to come to a Raider game, or what it meant to that family or that kid to finally get that experience?
I mean, like, there's so many family. We've helped 384 kids since we started back then, and we don't really have that much support. It's just these fans that come, just want to see kids in their seats. Um, if I had to pick something, there's been a couple opportunities where there's something to be said about just allowing people to break free. I know we're just going to sporting events. We're not curing cancer. We're not creating a financial or helping a financial barrier for different causes, but to allow, like, a family. There was a family last year we took to preseason. The dad was he's still battling stage 4 cancer, but to just not only send him to his first game at Allegiant Stadium, but to allow him to do that with his whole family. You could just feel it while they were at the tailgate, and I'm sure Murph's talked about this. It's just something you can see that really means something to families. And there was really one story that stood out back in year one, where there was a child. He was battling cancer a couple times, and we took him to a game in December. I believe it was against the Chargers, and it was just something that stuck with me, because you just felt like how appreciative this family was. And it's not like we're Make-A-Wish and there's this ultimate experience at times. Yeah, that happens sometimes where kids are receiving field passes, but I just remember this family. They were actually up in the 400s, and that's what Raider Dad's about. It's not about that ultimate experience. It's just about you being there with a parental figure, being in the moment, and doing something that that can live on longer than the game itself. And I received the call later, a few months later, and the dad was pretty emotional, because his son was going to be he ended up passing away, but he just shared like how for months on Sundays or whatever brought up some type of memory, him and his son would just sit there and talk about this day. And it, I imagine it's something that still sticks with him, but I really felt that's what really spoke Raider Dad. It was about just creating these moments that, it's creating this connection, this bond. We have our last name and our DNA, but sports really bring people together, and especially with the Raiders, we see this at times. And it's just something that's really stayed with me, and I'm always out there, working on the next experience. There's fans out there, want me to come to different events, do this. But that night before, I'm working on the next experience. You never know what this is going to be, because every ticket, every experience we provide people, there's some type of story. It might not be, life changing, but it's their fan story and their family story at times.
Yeah. And you know what, Josh, I'm a faithful guy. So I go to my faith a lot for inspiration and whatnot. And I think, like you said, you're not curing cancer or anything like that, but you know what? It's the little steps. The little steps mean a lot in trying to change the world, frankly. And for what you guys do and making these experiences happen, the one you shared with us obviously is just heart-wrenching to know that the gentleman passed away. But the fact that they had that moment together and that moment lived on, as you said so well, is what you guys do and what it's all about. And you talked about preseason. A lot of people don't sell their preseason tickets because there's not a lot of market there. And just, give your tickets. These experience is so important for these kids. And they really do. They remember, like you said, we all can go back to remember those moments with our own parents, or our own family, our own friend, whoever it may be, who took you to a game. And that's such a big deal. So we want to make sure we do anything we can to support that in the tailgate. And you do such a great job of sharing pictures of the families who go out there. And it's always a look of joy on their face. So giving those tickets and allowing Josh and his team to do what they do is amazing. So we certainly appreciate that, man. And again, you have the tailgate coming up in the preseason. What week of this preseason is that? Let everybody know. And of course, we got everything linked here for people to get out to you, get out to the website, and of course, follow you on Facebook and so on.
Yeah, it's a really great event. It's August the 16th this year. People show up for this annually. It's really cool to see, how many people show up. It's like 3 spots we're all cramming in here. There's different community partners that, help create this tailgate for food and beverage, shirts during the season. They actually get jerseys, but there's so many kids. It's around 50 kids every single year, and that's just the kids and the parental. Sometimes we get multiple parental figures, but there's so many people that can donate to this. So if you do have extra tickets, and we know preseason, and the NFL's kind of losing its meaning, and that's where we have a Raider Dad to bring back meaning to preseason. So it's
Absolutely.
really cool. If you're around, you can stop by. If you can't make it, you can donate at vegasraiderdad@gmail.com, or you can visit the website at vegasraiderdad.org. And we can put your tickets to good use, helping a lot of different people. So,
well, Josh Camite from Vegas Raider Dad, man, we appreciate you. And it blows my mind. And I apologize that it's been 3 years since you've been on, because you should be on a lot more than that. We're going to have you on more this year, so get ready.
Okay.
We'll even send you over. If you want a makeup person, we'll send it over. Not that you need it.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I think I need a little setup like you guys in the background.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. But we certainly are excited for what you're doing and want to help out any way we can. And again, everything linked below to get to Vegas Raiders Dad. We'll share that a lot as well on here, even if you're not on the air with us, Josh, just so people remember. But just a great stuff. Get your tickets to these folks, change the lives of these kids for that day so that they can experience it. Josh, thanks for being on with us, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Hope to see you guys soon.
All right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, it's time for the Raider Nation Switchboard and your phone calls. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Silver and Black Today. Welcome back. Home stretch here, segment number 3 on Silver and Black Today. It's a time when we get to the Raider Nation Switchboard. Yes, we get to some of your calls. Just a quick segment this time, but here we go. Mo, people are it's minicamp. People don't get as excited about minicamp, but they do sort of, it kind of wakes them up. It's the last kind of little bit. It's that last drop of water before the big walk through the desert, and you go thirsty until camp starts at the end of next month. But minicamp all over the league, you start to hear about injuries, you start to hear about this, start to hear about that. It's not the greatest time to be a football fan because the news isn't that, I should say, it's not that upfront. It's not there. There's not much going on. But it's good for the Raider fans to do this. I think the excitement's going to build, as we've heard, and you'll hear from some of the calls. People think they're going to win 12 games. I mean, nobody said 12, but definitely 11. So, but it's that time of the year, man, before we go into our, as you call it, your dark retreat until the end of July.
Yeah, it's the last bit of football before the break, and you can recharge your batteries and your optimism and your hope for the next season. So we're hearing all the positive buzz. We're hearing all the, I don't want to call it hype, because some of these guys could legitimately be contributors in the upcoming season. We hope that's the case. But let's just remember, this off season goes in phases. As you said, Big Boy Camp is coming up late July, early August. We'll find out who are the workout warriors and who are the ones ready to contribute in week 1 at training camp.
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right, let's get to your call. The first call, we're going out to Virginia. A caller named Monster Inc. Mike Wazowski. No, Monster Inc. Here we go.
Oh.
Capacity. When you look at the games we lost last year, our defense started off the season playing great despite losing Malcolm Kuntz before the games even started. I mean, the games against the Broncos, Chargers, Broncos, both Chiefs games, our defense played great. Just the offense made too many bad plays, especially on 4th and shorts, and they couldn't convert with 4th and inches being in a shotgun formation, which I did not understand. And so the turnovers that cause those games. We have a top 15 quarterback in Geno Smith. I mean, imagine what Brock Bowers would have done with him as our quarterback last season with Luke Gentry making those bad play calls. They don't have him Chip Kelly. I think the sky's the limit for Brock Bowers. I think our offensive line, which received some criticism, has dramatically improved. Not only with the rookies that we got in the draft this year, but also moving JPJ as our full-time center. I think it's going to make a big difference in both our blocking and run game. We saw a difference when he started playing center last year. So I think that's going to continue to improve. And I haven't even started talking about the rookies that we've gotten in Ashton Gentry and Jack Betch and Dante Thornton and the corner that we got from Iowa State. I mean, those are some nice draft picks that's going to improve the depth and production on our team. And also the rest of our draft picks, we got those 2 defensive linemen look great in camp so far. Looking forward to seeing those guys with pads on. And like I said, I think we'll have a much better season this year. That's what the head coach and offensive coordinator, I think that bumps us an extra 4 games by itself, and Geno Smith. So I wasn't going to make a prediction this year, but based on the talent that we have.
Oh, he got cut off there. Hey, Monster Inc., thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, we said 7-ish wins, but we also said, at least I said too, that I could see 8. So he's saying 4-game improvement. Yeah, and I think that would be great. Some people just don't agree that would be a great improvement.
I don't see how doubling your win total is not a great improvement. I mean, unless you're going from 1 to 2 wins or 2 to 4 wins, and that's not great. But going from 4 to 8, I mean, that's a significant improvement. It's not playoff improvement. I get the standard there is get to the playoffs and win a playoff game. But as Monster Inc. said, from the standpoint of looking at the Raiders upgrade, right? The coaching staff, specifically Chip Kelly on the offensive side of the ball. Then you add Geno Smith, the quarterback upgrade. The Raiders upgraded at 2 key positions. I know one of those positions is not a roster position, it's the head coaching position. And I know this is a Raider podcast, but this is what I said about the Chargers last year. The Chargers upgraded significantly at the head coaching spot from Brandon Staley to Jim Harbaugh. You see what it got them. I know they got blasted in the playoffs, but this is a team that went from last in the division to winning, 11 football games. And the mentality is totally different. And I think Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly can change things, at least the mentality, the culture a bit, in Las Vegas, where they're no longer a distant 4th place in the AFC West. Where will they finish in the AFC West? We'll see. But they're going to be much better offense, way better offensively at least. The defense, the linebacker, cornerback room still concerns me a bit. But offensively, the Raiders are going to score a lot more points than they have scored in these past few seasons. So I expect a significant upgrade there in the win column. May not be a playoff team yet, but definitely 3-4 wins is a realistic expectation.
Yep, absolutely. All right, thanks for the call, Monster Inc. Now we're going out to our buddy Terrick in Chicago. Here's Terrick.
Hello, Scott and Mo. This is Terrick checking in with you guys from Chicago. I really enjoyed yesterday's 2025 Media Day with the Raiders. Just listened in on a lot of fantastic interviews with Carroll, Spytek, JPJ. I love the one with Besh, Gentry, Crosby, etc. Looking forward to 3 days of mandatory minicamp today through Thursday. I said in a previous call that I'm taking the Raiders to win 8 to 9 wins with no playoffs, and I'm sticking firmly with that. However, there are always those teams that everyone has high expectations for that disappoint. And then there's teams that come out of nowhere and they're way ahead of what anybody anticipated. And I agree with what you said a couple of weeks back, Mo. The Raiders are very, very young. The entire team, particularly, on both sides of the ball and in a lot of positions, they are certainly unproven. But I think the Raiders, certainly the biggest word I can think of is potential. They have the potential to be one of those surprise teams that makes significant strides. You've seen teams go from 4 wins to 10, 11 wins in one season. Not saying the Raiders are going to make that jump, but it's certainly they have the potential to do it with a lot of young talent. You have a lot of off-season optimism, like I always do, and for the most part, it doesn't pan out. But I think this upcoming season, it's going to pan out. You're going to see the Raiders turning the corner. There's no reason to believe they're not going to. And I just want to add in that I've secured tickets to Week 10's game in Denver, Thursday Night Football, November 6th. Hope you guys have a great summer. Looking forward to your next show. Talk to you later. Go Raiders. Bye-bye.
All right, there's Terrick. Good. And you know what? The optimism, this is what I was trying to say in the first segment, Mo, which is, where they end up from a wins perspective, playoff, no playoff, I'm not even really focused on that. I just think that if you're a member of Raider Nation, it's a great time. Everything feels better. You have good coaches in place. You have more talent. You have a better scheme. You have a defensive scheme and a defensive coordinator who's been there a while now. You've had that longevity there. You've had the stability there, even if you haven't had it at head coach. So, yeah, I mean, I would never tell Raider fans right now that they shouldn't be really excited. The wins total, who knows? And he's right? You can 7-8, I think, is a legitimate expectation. But when it comes to things that can happen, crazy stuff happens all the time.
So Terrick is pretty much in line with us that the Raiders are going to hover around 500. We said 7-8 wins. He says 8-9 wins and no playoffs. We agree on the no playoffs. We don't think the Raiders are a playoff team yet. But hovering around 500, being in the playoff race late in the season, I think from where they were last year, again, a significant improvement there. People are going to scoff at 3-4 more wins than they had last year, but 3-4 more wins than they had last year puts them in a closer position to compete as time goes on. And I know Pete Carroll, is up there in age. Geno Smith is an older quarterback, but if you're telling me the Raiders get to, let's say 8-9, 9-8 this year, And then next year, there's an even bigger jump because they're adding more free agents with the money they have, cap space that they have, another good draft class. Hopefully John Spytek's first draft class, some of the guys hit. But if you add another 2 good draft classes on top of already having Brock Bowers, then okay, you're looking at a double-digit win season potentially in the following season. As I've said before, sometimes the jump is not immediate, right? Sometimes, not as Terrick said, not every team could be the Washington Commanders, right? Go from the dumpster fire of the NFL to the NFC championship round. Not every team is not going to do that. There are some teams who improve in increments, moderately,
incremental,
over time, over 2 years, over 3 years. And I think the Raiders are on the right path to do that with Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll on the roster that they have. As Terrick said, a ton of potential in that roster with the rookies they brought in, with some of the young guys that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting time. I know when the camp gets in and we start hearing about players, how they're doing, and we start to get to preseason games where you can see some of these developmental guys, young players perform, it's going to get very exciting for these guys. All right, Mo, we're out of here. So tell everybody what you got coming this week. I know things are starting to slow down a little bit for you, but you're always out there. You still got your Bleacher Report lives. Tell everybody where they can see you.
I actually have a Bleacher Report article that Raider fans should be interested in. The most important contract that each team has to deal with before training camp. You can probably guess where I'm going to go with that. It's got to be Kolton Miller or Jacoby Myers, right? Also, Sports Night, I'll have a piece coming out there wrapping up notes and reports from mandatory minicamp, what I expect in training camp, what the depth chart looks like after mandatory minicamp during the break, and of course, back here with you, Scott, on Silver and Black today for Thursday's show.
Absolutely. And I always look forward to that. And next time we'll eat a hot dog with no ketchup on it. If you missed the beginning of the show, go back and listen. But anyway, I want to thank also to our guest, Josh Camite from Raider Dad. All of the links to the Raider Dad stuff is below in the description of both the audio podcast and the video as well, wherever you're watching our video. So make sure you contribute there, whether it's tickets, whether it's money, whether it's time. If you're in Las Vegas, do that. Also, we will be back on the radio starting next week. Well, no, 2 weeks. We'll be back on the radio on KDON 101.5 and, of course, the Bet HD2. So we're back on the radio in Las Vegas with this show as we start to go into this slow period, but then gear up for camp because we're going to hit camp hard as well. So thanks to Josh again. And again, help him out. Of course, our good buddy Murph over with the One Nation Foundation helps them out too as well. So it's all intermingled, the family here. So make sure you do that as well. Mo, my friend, have a great rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you next week.
Take care, Scott. Take care, Raider Nation. Bleacher Report, Monday through Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Tune in for Raiders.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. For our producer, Mike Robier, for Momote, and I'm Scott Branson. This has been Silver and Black today. Don't forget, subscribe. Don't forget to rate and review. Also on that video, give us that thumbs up and subscribe and hit that notifications bell. Until next week, everybody, take care and have a great weekend.